Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. And if you are new here, my name is Hannah. I am a Western Practical Astrologer. Okay, so I'm here today to talk all about 2025 for all of you Taurus folks out there. We're getting these videos out early, hopefully. Happy New Year then, because yeah, we are nearing the end of 2024, only a couple more months to go. I'm actually recording this on the 1st of November. So, Taurus, we're going to be talking about you today. Now, before we do dive in, if you would like to book a reading with me, you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. There you can also find all of my astrology products. And of course, if you do enjoy this information today, if you like the video, please make sure to give it a like and comment, what you think of the video, your own views and thoughts, etc. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure to do so you can keep up to date with new videos to come. Now, what I want to say before we Taurus is one of the most common questions I get asked is, should I be reading for my sun, moon, or rising? And I always like to say that rising first and foremost. Okay, so yes, read for your rising. You may find that the rising is the most relatable for you. But also, I have a couple of other things I want to mention. So I would suggest reading for your sun sign, especially if you've got a day chart. But then the other thing about the sun is tied to our soul's purpose and our conscious. That's the conscious part of ourselves. So we could also look at this as you relating somewhat to your sun sign. You also have to think about derivative houses. And then with the moon sign, if you've got a night chart, then you may relate more so to your moon sign when it comes to these horoscopes and forecasts and things like that. But then the other thing is you can look at reading for your moon more from a place of emotion or from a place of your inner world in this way, your private self. And naturally, the moon is the unconscious part of ourselves. So you could even look at it as an opportunity for you to become more familiar with your unconscious, so to speak. But really, it's up to you. And I feel like I need to say your chart comes first, always. Your chart comes first. How you relate to the information comes first. But still, if you want to read for just your rising, go ahead. But if you want to read for your sun and your moon, you can also do that. Me personally, I like to read for all three just to see. And I also find that I relate in some respects to all three. Naturally, I do relate most to the rising, reading for my rising sign. But again, your personal birth chart comes first. Even consider placements you've got, okay? You got to think about the bigger picture at play. This is just an overview of 2025, but if you really want to get into detail and you want to explore your personal chart, you can always book a reading with myself. Happy New Year, everyone, as well. We're coming into the new year. Happy New Year. Yes, the astrological new year does not start until the beginning of Aries season, but I wanted to explore just 2025 for everyone, just to give it a go. I wanted to see um, how this could go for just myself as a way to see how you might relate to the information or what you think about your horoscopes for the year. And on that note, what I like to do typically when it comes to exploring each month or each season is, yes, I will focus more on the seasons, the astrological seasons. So in your case, Taurus, because we're talking about you, as we come into 2025, it will be Capricorn season. So the sun will be transiting your ninth house at that time. So more of this focus on things like your deeply held beliefs. We could also look at this as your higher mind being very much activated and highlighted and emphasized. So we think about your philosophical views, your world views, your beliefs in general there. And we could also look at this through a lens of higher education. So maybe it's that you'll be a bit more focused on that of your studies and your higher education in this way. Or this could even be about training. Okay, so training, courses, programs, things like that, maybe wanting to become qualified in some way, shape, or form, get your credentials, become a bit of a professional in some respects with Capricorn there in the ninth, Taurus. So yes, I just wanted to highlight that. And the thing about the sun is so much about our direction. It's related to our life force. So it's almost like there will be a huge light just shining on this particular area of your life. So thinking about those ninth house matters that I just mentioned. And by the time we come to the actual astrological new year, the sun will then enter Aries, and this will take place in the 12th house. So for you, Taurus, coming into the astrological new year in 2025, I feel like there's just going to be more of this behind the scenes activity going on, and we're going to touch more on that because we've got a lot happening, especially during Aries season. It's going to be quite the Aries season because we'll have Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde at the time. There will also be a solar eclipse happening. So, a lot going on. And naturally, both Neptune and Saturn are on the move this year. Yeah. So, safe to say for you, Taurus, it's going to be a lot of reflection going within. It's so much about drawing from your spiritual wisdom, emotional wisdom as well, could very much come through for you. So we'll perhaps touch more on that as we go along, but I just wanted to mention more of the seasons. And just notice there that the sun will naturally pass through all of those signs, activating different areas of your life, different parts of the chart. Alrighty, so January, let's do this. Let's get into January. We have for you, Taurus, Mars will be retrograde in your fourth house. So, just to say here that Mars retrograde is going to happen from the 6th of December until the 23rd of February. So, we're coming to the end of 2024 into 2025. So, from the 6th of December until the 6th of January, we've got this Mars retrograde in your fourth house in Leo. So for that month, this will be about you taking a closer look at your actions, your drive, and your willpower within your home. Thinking even about certain family relationships there, family members, could even be some pride issues or arrogance issues involved there. Not necessarily coming from you, but it could be that you're addressing these kinds of behaviors and attitudes from within particular family members. Maybe there could be some frustrations and anger that's let out or that's even kept in, and then eventually things could come to a head there. So, with that being said, it's not necessarily a bad thing that we do experience conflict or anger or disagreements, things like that. But it is, I suppose, it's important to be able to navigate such matters in a way that's healthy and in a way that can serve you. And the other thing I suppose to mention about this, Taurus, is that Mars retrograde will be connected with Pluto in the 10th for you. So there will be a bit of this oppositional energy coming up. So when we think about this, we could see some kinds of power struggles, power plays between family members and what you want for your life. It could be that are some disagreements about your path, your purpose, your direction. Maybe, it could even just be a case of having to assess, okay, what are my priorities? Who am I loyal to? Who do I trust? What do I want here for my future? And that could involve certain family members. And you have to kind of come together and really discuss things and to go over your goals together in this regard. We can also look at this as, okay, so if we think about Mars does rule your seventh, and Mars rules your 12th as well. Yeah, this is where partnerships and relationships are going to be involved in such discussions about the next step. Honestly, I just think this could even be uh, this can be an opportunity for you to reassess and to review what it is that you wish to build for the long haul with your significant other, with your partner. This could also be about business, of course, as well. And naturally, it will be your home situation, your living situation that will be a part of the conversation. So maybe this is, for instance, something like your goals, right? What are your goals when it comes to family? What are your goals when it comes to your living situation, property, ownership, this kind of stuff? And naturally, it could be that it's important to be quite quiet with yourself, gentle with yourself, to be patient, and to go within when you can. Yeah, and if it is that there are unnecessary, and I mean unnecessary heated arguments that just lead to nowhere, maybe it is better to kind of think, right, am I being stubborn? Do I need to put my own pride to the side here? How can we come from a place of things being more mutually beneficial, right? Again, this stuff could be applied to business. Then we come into this part of the retrograde. So from the 6th of January for the rest of the retrograde, so that will be from the 6th of January until the 23rd of February. Well, with Mars retrograde then being in Cancer, I think this is more so going to be about your goals and your energy and your willpower with respect to immediate family relationships. What's coming through for me here is trying not to let certain people interfere with the ways in which you and your more close family, I suppose, run things, do things. What I'm getting from this would be certain siblings or cousins trying to get in the way, get involved, to be too emotionally invested, too emotionally attached to how you want to do things. It could also be that you are very influential or pretty receptive to certain people's actions and their anger as well. Maybe, this could be where you feel a bit more triggered, or people can get to you. It's like your patience can be wearing quite thin around this time. So maybe this is where we also see being able to step back and to practice more of this emotional patience, to be able to draw from, okay, I am not going to let this person shake me or get the better of me. Now, we could also explore this more so from a place of relocating, things like this. So, if it is that you, for example, you have a goal in mind to relocate, to move, it could just be something as simple as moving from one neighborhood to a different neighborhood, which is pretty nearby. But if this is a part of your goal, I think the Mars retrograde could just be an opportunity for you to go over the plan, okay, to go over, to reassess, to review. Naturally, this could also be about education. So, anything that you're learning, you're studying around that time period, just again, go over, okay, energetically, can I give this much to this subject? How might this subject or this educational situation assist or support my family? Could even be this. Hey, it could even be conversations about family, conversations about maybe having more children, or thinking about relocating because you want to have more children. It could also just be about renovating, changing things when it comes to your property, when it comes to your living situation. We also see that with the part of Mars retrograde in Leo in some respects there too. So, yeah, what I would say with the Mars retrograde is just to uh, remember to take a beat, pause, find power in the pause, Taurus, before reacting, and try not let other people interfere or ruffle your feathers unnecessarily. If it's not productive, if it's not necessary, then I just think it would be better for you to keep your peace in this way, to recognize your own inner peace. Indeed. Okay. So whenever we also come into January, we've got something important happening in the skies. So we've got the nodes, they are changing signs. So the North Node has been in Aries in your 12th house, and the South Node has been in Libra in your 6th house since July of 2023. So for the past 18 months or so, we have noticed for you just so much more energy being focused, being derived into that of your inner world, looking at separating yourself in some way by going, nope, I need to put myself first. I'm considering my individuality. I need time to think about that. I want to be on my own. A lot of this is I want to be on my own. I want to reflect upon what I want with my life, my next step, my goals. It is very me focused with Aries. It is. It's very much about the self. It's very much with the I statements, I. And the other thing about this with Chiron, so Chiron has been transiting your 12th house. Certain things that you have been mm, reflecting on, looking at, addressing within yourself, perhaps some very painful situations. Times whenever maybe you've put yourself in danger, times whenever you've been impulsive or reckless, careless. So, yeah, and with that, it's still about being empathetic with yourself. It's creating this kindness and this empathy surrounding such matters to be able to go, yeah, I've made mistakes, and what? Everybody has made mistakes. I'm not a perfect person, but I think we could also look at this as you being able to channel these emotions, to channel difficult feelings, painful emotions into something more productive. We could also look at this as you maybe being very much concerned about art and film and creativity and just letting out things in that way. It could be anger, for instance. It's anger, it's your upset that really comes through. So yes, a lot of emotion involved here for you, Taurus, which honestly can be very healing, and it can be in some ways, I think, regenerative or restorative. Maybe that's a better word, restorative. Perhaps rest has been a big theme as well, to be able to rest, to be able to relax, truly relax. So, a lot of focus on these areas over these past 18 months for you, Taurus. But then with the North Node moving into your 11th and the South Node moving into your 5th, okay, we still see some of these Piscean themes of being quite empathetic and compassionate and emotional and very sensitive, especially here when it comes to groups, when it comes to teams, when it comes to the members that you relate to, the members that you gravitate toward. This, I feel, is an opportunity for you to truly think about and reflect upon, okay, who do I feel genuinely connected to? Maybe even spiritually, we could even see this as you meeting many soulmates, so to speak, if you believe in soulmates, that is, during this time period. And perhaps, it's not necessarily about a lover. I think this could even be friendship, right? So, friends, where it feels like you are soulmates, or it feels like there's some spiritual connection. It could also manifest as you wanting to perhaps join a charity or a cause or a movement. You want to give back to society in some way, shape, or form. You want to help the world. You want to be a part of those changes. And you could also look at this as you changing and challenging the status quo about empathy and compassion. Or perhaps we could even see this as you wanting to be a part of some film group or media, photography, perhaps some water related activities, maybe for you there, Taurus. Or we could even look at this as you gravitating toward groups where there are a lot of healing remedies involved, healing techniques. I think of, more of a somatic dancing and releasing emotion. Yeah, very emotional indeed with Pisces. So we could then see you aligning with people who are like-minded, right? Like-minded when it comes to these areas. But yet at the same time, with the South Node in Virgo, what you may start to ease up on would be things like, well, how you might be a bit perfectionistic about creativity. It's what I'm sort of getting from this is, instead of feeling like the finished product needs to be perfect. So if you are a Taurus, and I do see this actually as you Taurus being very creative people, but if you're a Taurus and you are creating something and you're crafting it, you're maybe thinking about, okay, I want to share this with the world, right, with the North Node in the 11th. Try to manage the part of you, or recognize the part of you that spirals into, well, it's not perfect enough. I need to do more. It needs to be better and better and better. And don't get me wrong, there's always room for improvement with things. And I get it as well that you may want the finished thing to be perfect. I get that. But I can't help but think that the South Node says, if you find yourself doing this in an unhealthy way, in a way that's actually not productive for you at all, and then it keeps you back from just truly following your intuition. It keeps you back from going with that inspiration and more of that creative flow. Then this is when it's best to go, hold on a minute, what's going on here? Why am I doing this? What am I feeding into here? How am I spiraling here? So yeah, you may find that you'll ease up on these kinds of qualities and let go a little bit. um or we could even look at this as panicky, fussy tendencies within relationships, especially when we think about romance, or we think about the relationship that you have with your children. If it is that you find yourself being um, quite concerned about, oh, this is a mess and this needs done and that needs done, and oh, you're not doing enough, and all these kind of things that could come up. Maybe, yeah, and don't get me wrong, I get that when it comes to the load, right, especially when it comes to relationships and children, managing a household, all of this kind of stuff, I get that it can be very overwhelming. But if you find yourself getting caught up in this sort of cycle or in these attitudes, maybe this is where you can lean toward that North Node in Pisces and kind of go, hold on, uh, how might I be worrying about things that maybe I don't actually need to worry about? Or it could be a case of seeking some kind of help or assistance. If there are actual real practical things happening that are challenging, when it comes to romance and relationships here, and you find yourself, feeling like you need to fix, or feeling like you need to improve things, and it does become stressful and quite worrisome, then maybe there are certain people within groups or teams or friendships where you can get that support, you can get that help. Okay, there could be some assistance available there with the North Node in Pisces. So those are just a couple of examples, but it should be interesting. It should be an interesting time, Taurus. So let's also think about Uranus turning direct in your sign in the first house. So this is going to happen. If I just go over my notes here, it's going to happen on the 30th of January 2025, so the last day of January. So the retrograde itself, just to say, is from the 1st of September 2024 until the 30th of January 2025. Right. Let's think about how Uranus has been in your sign for the past number of years. I think from around about 2018, around about that time. And yeah, I mean, you are the sign of stability, consistency, and you prefer for things to be a bit more calm and chill. Uranus in your sign has been far from calm and chill. Uranus in your sign sort of says, well, it's time to innovate. It's time to embrace the change. It's time to go through these unexpected shifts and these shakeups. And I think that a part of this, yes, it can be where you have felt a bit like in over your head or out of your depths, or maybe a bit of it has been, oh my gosh, what am I going to do about my resources and how I earn money and all this stuff? What about my security? I can't quite seem to keep things a bit level here. But we could also look at this as Uranus ushering in something of value, a new set of values or a new set of ways of doing things, something different. We can look at this as, for instance, breakthroughs about materials and finances and money. We could look at this, for example, even through a lens of you recognizing that it's important to assess what is a necessity and what is a luxury. What do I actually need and what do I want? It's these kinds of questions I think have been coming up for you, Taurus. And I think you may even grow in your awareness in this regard, become awakened to a new way of doing things, a new way of seeing things. And then that could even welcome a different path. So you may find that with Uranus in your first house here, your aims, your goals, your priorities, what you value, these things have really changed. And maybe a part of it is, for example, I can actually do this even with less, or I can do this thing even if I need to make certain cutbacks or I need to make certain changes. I think Uranus has been really quite powerful for you in this way when it comes to your resources and your finances. It's you, I suppose you could say, working with what you've got. You can be such resourceful people. Let's just say that. So, with Uranus turning direct, we can look at this as you moving forward with these things, right? Moving forward with greater clarity, because with the retrograde from the 1st of September until the 30th of January, it's just, hey, it's been another opportunity for you to go back in, to do some research, to review things, to reassess these areas a little bit more, and then you can move forward, hopefully by the time the retrograde moves, or by the time Uranus moves, and you can move forward with greater self-assurance and confidence. And we could even see this as you taking on something new because of an old an old way of doing things that you revisited. So, perspective, right? Perspective, Taurus. So, with February, that's January 2025, we come into February here, Taurus. And what we notice is another planet turning direct, and that's actually Jupiter. So Jupiter retrograde has been from the 9th of October until the 4th of February here. And on the 4th of February, Jupiter will turn direct in your second house. Now, here's a thought, okay? This is interesting because the second house is the house of resources, the area of your life that's tied to materials, your possessions, how you earn money, your physical security. All of these things fall under the second house, your skills, your talents. So Jupiter coming into this house for you actually has been really great because you can, well, you have the opportunity to draw from, okay, what am I good at? What am I gifted at? And you can learn more about that. So I would say with Gemini in your second house, Taurus, you tend to be pretty good with your hands. You tend to be pretty good at communicating. So communicating certain methods, data, research. You can even be quite good at doing your research, perhaps as well. You can be quite good at socializing and sort of getting people together, being quite chatty in this way, quite engaging in this way. Perhaps you're very good at sales or marketing or media in some way, shape, or form, technology. But you see, with Jupiter retrograde from the 9th of October to the 4th of February, you've had an opportunity to review these areas, to maybe take a look at, okay, what about technology? What do I not know about technology? So having that opportunity to go over, right? To go over these things, to kind of prepare yourself, to become more informed, to become up to speed when it comes to new technology changes or new media changes, for example. So a lot of learning, let's just say, a lot of learning, and that I feel can support you when it comes to how you earn money. I kind of think as well about with you, Taurus, how you typically can earn multiple streams of income. So again, maybe Jupiter retrograde can indicate you doing your research there, being able to go over, okay, I'm interested in earning money doing this thing. Let me just look over the information. What can I learn from this? And naturally, with this, there's something inspirational. There's a newfound inspiration, or an old an old way that you used to feel inspired, and then you kind of look at it again and eureka, it's like, oh, I've got it. Okay, I can see the bigger picture. I can see how things add up here. And so therefore, with Jupiter turning direct on the 4th of February, you can move forward, right? You can move forward with greater clarity and a greater vision. The vision feels more alive, or it's that you feel more inspired. And the other thing I want to even further mention here is Jupiter rules your 8th and your 11th houses. So such income, resources, skills and talents, I think they're somehow linked to that of your collective aims, your collective visions, your hopes and wishes for the future. And I think also there's a part of this stuff tied in with shared resources. So, we can look at this as the bigger picture to do with you reassessing, okay, these are my skills and these are my talents. The bigger picture is about, but I'm doing this because I want to join forces. I want to think about my joint financial planning with my significant other, or I want to think about the long haul or the bigger picture when it comes to my business. Maybe it is about managing your business in some way. Maybe it is about investments and just doing your research there. There's just this bigger picture outlook, I think. So, if anything, the Jupiter retrograde has been a good way for you to do some preparation, to do some planning. Then we come into Mars turning direct. So Mars is going to turn direct on the 23rd of February in your 3rd house. So here we go again. We could see you moving forward with greater clarity there. So with Mars turning direct, perhaps you will feel a bit more like, okay, I've settled things there. I've had that conversation with my family member. I feel like we're on the same page. Or it could be a case of, I'm a bit more up to speed about what I want when it comes to my education, when it comes to social media, when it comes to how I communicate, right? I know how to move forward now. And I can see as well how I've looked over my goals. And then, yes, it's about being able to move forward with greater clarity when it comes to your goals too. Or it could be a case of, I can see how I challenged myself over the past few weeks. I challenged myself intellectually, socially, and because of that, I feel a bit more like I can move forward in a way where my message is clearer, my delivery is clearer, the way I speak, the way I articulate things. I've got this. But there's also an emotional element to this with Mars being in Cancer, right? So it could be that perhaps with Mars turning direct, there's still a part of it where you're going to go through those fluctuations and those moods. It's more so about, how does this message really feel? How does the delivery of what I'm saying here feel? And how does that influence and impact the audience? How does it make them feel? So it's that emotional twist too. Then we move on to March. So March is going to be a rather active month. So I actually have a short little calendar here of March because there is a lot going on and I do have my notes. So we'll just break this down in terms of the dates firstly, and then we'll try and apply this more practically. So on the 1st of March, Venus turns retrograde in Aries in your 12th house. And then on the 15th of March, Mercury turns retrograde in your 12th house. Then by the 27th of March, Venus will enter your 11th. And then by the 29th of March, Mercury will also enter your 11th. Then come the 30th of March, so the last day of the month, Neptune will enter your 12th. Okay, so quite a lot happening in March. Very, very active indeed. Naturally, this is just more of a general overview, and I'm sure I will make more information and talk about it way more closer to the time. But here's the notable thing about Venus. Firstly, Venus is your ruler. If you've got a Taurus rising, Venus is your chart ruler. So the Venus retrograde is from the 1st of March until the 12th of April. And the thing about the ruler is that the ruler can really represent this key area of our lives. It can be a great area of focus. So with the first part of Venus retrograde happening in your 12th house, so this will be from the 1st of March until, so the retrograde itself is the 1st of March till the 12th of April, but the Venus retrograde in Aries section is from the 1st of March until the 27th, of March. So those few weeks throughout March, with Venus being retrograde in your 12th, will indicate a time period of you to really go within and to assess your values. What do you value when it comes to your aims and your goals, right? Because the ruler is a part of this. Venus rules your first house. Indeed, a lot of this is about, okay, what do I value when it comes to my goals, when it comes to my life path? Thinking along the lines of, okay, this is what I would like to obtain, or this is how I would like to provide for my family, as an example. This is the kind of money I might want to earn, or this is the kind of job I want, or this is the way I want to be valued within my job. We can look at this as you reassessing a certain promotion that you're hoping for, a new source of income that you might be hoping for. Could even be where you take a closer look at your inspiration, what inspires you, and just taking the time to go within or to go behind the scenes to address what inspires you the most when it comes to your creativity, when it comes to your art, because Venus is so much about our creativity as well. And with Venus being in Aries, there's something quite passionate about this. Naturally, Venus is also in its detriment in Aries. So, and with it being also in the 12th house, it could be that there's a part of it where self-doubt can creep in, especially with Chiron even being in your 12th. But there could also be a part of it where you might want to rush through any uncomfortable feelings, or you might be quite insistent on, no, this is what I want and I want it now, and you can be headstrong about the whole thing. If it is that there are issues or concerns that come up within your relationships, I think it's just important to pause a little bit, or to make sense of what's actually happening, to look for the evidence, to try to not jump to conclusions or to make assumptions either. Naturally, we could also look at this through a lens of, again, with the 12th house, in that the 12th house can be what's hidden from us. So there could be a few things that you're not quite seeing clearly, you're not seeing correctly, especially about your self-worth. Hey, that's the thing. There could be some self-worth concerns that come up to the surface, or it's that you will start to feel a certain way about your self-worth, and you may be frustrated, you may be annoyed, but maybe this is where it's important to practice compassion and to be quite empathetic with yourself. Okay, to practice that self-love, which again, it could be that self-love feels a bit more challenging, maybe because there's something that you're just finding hard to access or see. Maybe this is also where other people can help you out a little bit, right? There may be support or partners or friends who might be able to be there for you, right? They can be there to show you some sort of empathy and support and care. Now, with Venus also ruling your sixth house, this Venus retrograde for you could also be about reassessing, reviewing your working lives, okay, how you want to create balance there. And keep in mind that with the South Node actually being in your sixth house over the past 18 months, you've already been doing a lot of this stuff, weighing out your options, looking at the pros and the cons when it comes to your work and your services, your health, your daily lives. But the Venus retrograde is more about a review of your values, a review of your money, a review of your earnings. Okay, your self-worth. How do things actually feel? I think a lot of this is about feeling because the 12th house again is being activated. Right. Let's then explore if we move on here. Let's explore the Mercury retrograde. So Mercury retrograde will be from the 15th of March until the 7th of April. And Mercury retrograde will be in Aries from the 15th of March until the 29th of March. So this part of it, let's think of it this way. Mercury is the mind. Mercury is our intellect. So the stuff that I just talked about to do with your self-worth, and hey, it could even be about you reviewing relationships and love and things like this. Well, this then means that you're also going to be heavily thinking about this stuff, going over and over this stuff in your head. Maybe a part of it is about, okay, how do I communicate to myself? What is the voice inside my head here? Is it that it's hard on myself? Is it that it's judgmental, it's harsh, it's pushy? What's going on there? Maybe this stuff, again, it's linked to your self-worth because Mercury does rule your second house. Mercury also rules your fifth. So maybe a part of it is, oh, I don't feel good enough when it comes to romance or love, or I don't feel good enough when it comes to my creativity or my art or my interests here. There's something here that may be playing on your mind. And I think even a big part of it too, with this being Aries, is it's to try to come from a place of, no, I've got this. I can do this. Yes, I can. I can't help but think that because the 12th house is activated and Chiron is also kind of, in a way, a part of this story because Chiron is still in Aries. I can't help but think, that for you, it could be that some fears come up, some real woes and worries come up. Maybe, hey, it's important just to be okay with being sad. It's okay to let out certain emotions, right? It could be just a really emotional time. And so, yes, it's important in this way to be able to feel your emotions, to let them out. If you need to have a good cry, Taurus. But hey, the other thing about this is the 12th house can be quite deceptive in a way, right? It can be a place of fantasy. It can represent illusions and this deceptiveness, right? So don't believe the lies you tell yourself. Don't even believe certain things that people say, about your worth. Or if, for example, someone says something and it really triggers you, it really gets to you around this time period, don't let it penetrate, don't let it get to you, right? And remember that you are worthy. You are worthy here, Taurus. So, yes, it's trying to come from a place of, I can do this, I've got this, I'm more than capable here. But again, I just think the retrogrades could be a time period of you getting in touch with these parts of yourself. And you know what? This within itself can be quite healing. And maybe a part of it too is to be thankful for our triggers in some way, shape, or form, to be thankful because they teach us something. And you can look at this as Mercury and Venus being retrograde in your 12th as they are teaching me something about myself, about my own confidence, my own fears, my phobias. They're teaching me about my own deceptive thoughts about myself and how I approach things. Actually, I am worthy. And think about this. Well, Mercury and Venus will move at some point, right? So perhaps we'll touch more on that coming into your season, right? Because your season will start in April, but April, May time, we could actually see you feeling a bit more like, do you know what? I'm glad that I had that honest review. I was able to be real with myself. I was able to address my authenticity because now coming into my season, shortly after it, I'm feeling a lot more like, well, secure. I'm more secure within myself. I feel more like I have this calmness and this patience again. Now, let's also think about Venus and Mercury entering into, if I just go back the way, entering into the 11th houses. Right. With Venus retrograde entering the 11th house for you. So that will be from, let me just check my notes, the 27th of March until the 12th of April. Right. But this is still March. At the end of March, coming toward the end of March, we'll just say this, and perhaps I'll touch more on it in the April section. Coming toward the end of March, with the 11th house being activated, we could see more of this reassessment, this review to do with friendships, connections, socializing, networking, group participations, group involvement. So, like I was saying earlier, with the North Node being in your 11th house, right? This is why it's important, right? The North Node being in your 11th house in Pisces will welcome more of this moving toward, okay, compassionate friendships, compassionate relationships, being quite sensitive even to certain groups and teams that you're a part of. And yes, that sensitivity could even be about you pulling away and not interacting with certain people as well. But still, there will be more of this wanting to relate and to connect with others spiritually, emotionally. We think even about this in terms of your intuition being very much activated and highlighted within groups in the 11th house. So, with both Venus and Mercury entering the 11th, there's still going to be this stuff happening, but it's more about, okay, let me take a closer look. Let me address my relationships here. Let me address my values within friendships. What do I value within a friend? For instance, do I value compassion and empathy within friendships with Venus in the 11th? Do I value this particular collective aim or goal because it's more about helping others, it's more about being generous and giving back to others, right? So there could be this stuff happening. And then with Mercury, again, it's more so about your mind, your intellect. It even could be about the sorts of conversations you have with people, how people speak, how people share information, their delivery. So you can hopefully just take a step back to go, okay, how does what that person says, how does that make me feel within myself? You know, what comes up within me whenever I'm having a conversation with this person about this goal or about this team situation. Again, this could even be about your own mindset, reassessing your mindset within teams, friendships, and networks there. Let's further think about eclipses. Right. So on the 14th of March, we've got the lunar eclipse in your fifth house. So that will be a good opportunity for you to release, release, to let go, to shed old skin. And I mean, notably so when it comes to the worry and the stress related to creativity, your art. This again could be about the perfectionistic tendencies. This could be about you feeling quite cranky or annoyed about romantic relationships, you know, so we could look at this as the fixer stuff coming up. And so you can maybe look at this as an opportunity to go, I surrender, I let go, I don't want anything to do with that. Or you could look at it even through a lens of reward, right? There could be something rewarding, something that you embrace actually, right? There could be a situation that is illuminated, and you can look at it as, oh wow, I'm so glad that I put in work there. I was efficient. I was very productive here when it comes to a creative project of mine, and it's getting a really good response from people, or I just feel good about it, you know? I appreciate that I put in that time. So there could also be a sense of accomplishment when it comes to your creativity in some way, shape, or form there, Taurus. Now, with the solar eclipse in Aries, that's happening on the 29th of March in your 12th house. Right, this eclipse is the last eclipse within this Aries Libra axis. So eclipses have been happening over the past couple of years in your 6th and 12th houses. So we look at here new chapters, but also endings when it comes to things like rest, sleep, your health, your habits, your routines, everyday stuff. We also look at this as notable changes to do with your spiritual values, your spiritual practices. So this solar eclipse could be an opportunity for you to embrace something new, right? There could be a new chapter, planting new seeds here, especially based on the inner work that you've already done over these past couple of years. And so you could go into this eclipse and think, right, fresh eyes, a fresh perspective. I want to have a fresh outlook when it comes to my alone time, how I spend time when I'm alone. We could even look at this through a lens of healthy escapism. Hey, this could even be about some kind of energetic shift, an energetic shift that comes about because, again, because you've been able to go within. Now, we could also look at the 12th house again through a lens of what is hidden. So, if it is that what comes up for you are difficulties to do with asserting yourself, if it is that there's some angry feeling still, or maybe it's that there's challenges with movement in some way, shape, or form, or there's challenges with putting yourself first in some way, shape, or form, especially with Chiron still being in the 12th house. This could be a solar eclipse that will again bring such matters to your attention. And there could be some kind of beginning of a new cycle, a new shift, where there could be greater self-discovery on your part. Because, well, let's also think of it this way. If we move on to the next slide, because Neptune's also on the move. So Neptune is going to come into Aries the day after the solar eclipse in Aries happens. And so that will be on the 30th of March. So we come to the last day of March. So Neptune coming into Aries in your 12th house. Well, what do we have here? We have more of this emphasis on self-compassion, self-forgiveness, kindness, empathy. My goodness, if you are a Taurus and you have found yourself, for instance, really beating yourself up, finding it difficult to navigate when it comes to your goals, or to navigate when it comes to asserting yourself in some way, shape, or form. If you have been quite hard on yourself and saying, why am I not doing enough? Why is it whenever I try this, I just come up against this challenge? Or why do I feel like I'm being heavily judged by other people for what I do? I can't help but think that Neptune comes into your 12th house and dissolves some of these assumptions, or some of these challenging situations, or the inner voice, the harsh inner voice. I think this could be a pretty powerful time period for you, Taurus, to get in touch with the spiritual more so, and to even look toward your visions and your dreams. Could be quite a freeing time. Maybe it feels like in some respects you're being set free, or in some respects you're able to navigate the waters of emotion in a more healthy way. Or this could be about you aligning yourself with some spiritual practice that takes you places. It maybe opens you up to new experiences, to new opportunities, goals that maybe you didn't even imagine before or think of before. Even thinking about with Aries in the 12th, you could have dreams about leadership, dreams about maybe coaching, or being a bit of a mentor, being this adventurous spirit, being quite active. Yeah, you could have all of these big dreams and visions about these things. So Neptune could come along and act as this vision, this inspiration, where you can even draw from your creativity, right? You can be artistic, creative, poetic, musical. There could be so much vision that comes through, which with it being in Aries, it's like you can bring that vision to life. You can be a bit of a pioneer, especially with Saturn also being a part of it soon. So we'll talk more about Saturn coming in, but there's just something about surrender and giving up control, letting go, Taurus, and could even be a case of you taking some more time to yourself as a way to restore your energy levels, and having no shame about that. Not even apologizing to other people. Yeah, there's just something very cleansing about this energy for you, Taurus. We could even see you, Taurus, folks, getting a lot more sleep, a lot more rest than you do, which is it's kind of interesting to think about, because already with you, Taurus, the whole stereotypical thing is that you do love your sleep. But anyway, so April, coming into April, what's going to be going on? So we've talked about Mercury retrograde, we've talked about Venus retrograde, but you see, Mercury will turn direct on the 7th of April, and then Venus will turn direct on the 12th of April. So yeah, we just gonna we can just look at this as those planets turning direct, and so the things that you review with relation to things like relationships, your values, your money, your talents, your gifts, all of these things, you're going to move forward. You're going to then be a bit more clear about the next step. And of course, sure, Mercury will then re-enter Aries, and Venus will also then re-enter Aries. So there's still more of that process of contemplation. And we also want to think about too with so if I just look at my notes here, with the post-shadow period, of so if I look here, of Mercury is from the 7th of April until the 26th of April. So just take that time to mull things over. So whatever comes up for you, when it comes to things like your dreams, when it comes to your imagination as well, even whatever comes up with for you with relation to group participations there, you can move forward, right? You can start to move forward, but also mull things over. And then with the post-shadow period of Venus from the 12th of April until the 16th of May, again, mull things over. There could be some things that just come up and you can add to it. Even on that note, with post-shadow periods, just be gentle. Be gentle with yourself. Self-care. My goodness, even whenever both planets move back into your 12th, and with Neptune being a part of it, Taurus, self-care. What I'm getting from, interesting. What I'm getting from 2025 for Taurus is it's such a big year for self-care. Self-care. Looking after your body. Being patient with yourself. Relaxation. And I mean deep relaxation. Having really decent baths, taking long showers, being able to step back to put yourself first. Oh, that's another thing coming through. It's putting yourself first. When we think about all of this activational stuff happening in your 12th house, Taurus. Hey, do you know what? You could very well find that you bring your imagination to life with this North Node in your 11th house. So let's even think about how Saturn is still in the 11th, and there's still going to be that Saturn retrograde in your 11th coming throughout 2025. Saturn has been in your 11th house for the past couple of years. So Indeed, we could look at this as you being quite structured or disciplined about your imagination or about the vision that you have, right? We think about creativity and art and considering what you can bring to your audience, what you can bring to the collective, how you might inspire others, how you might welcome change. You can welcome change within the collective. Perhaps you're even recognized a great deal or rewarded a great deal by others. The collective might want to give to you, support you. You could even find that you establish really meaningful bonds and relationships with certain people, even thinking about new friendships, reassessing, revisiting old friendships, old ways that you used to show up within friendships, just a lot of focus on grips and how you wish to make a difference within society as well there, Taurus. Okay, so with the retrogrades being discussed, we're now going to come into May. Let's explore May of 2025 with Pluto. Let's just discuss Pluto a moment because Pluto will then be in your 10th house throughout 2025. So Pluto re-enters Aquarius on the 19th of November. So Pluto travel will activate so much to do with your career path, your vocation, your accomplishments and your achievements. Hey, maybe this is where it's all the more reason to be able to go within to restore your energy. Okay, because with Pluto in the 10th, it could be that things feel quite intense. A lot could come up that challenge you to do with your achievements and your accomplishments. Hey, a bit of that grit and that determination, it's not necessarily a bad thing either. But if it is, for instance, that things become overwhelming and too much, or even if you find yourself spiraling or getting caught up in obsession or fixation there, or it's that you find yourself in power struggles with members of authority, yeah, it could be that things become heated or that you become really upset about the injustices or about the unfairness. So again, this could be where all the more reason to be able to consider what you need, right? Your personal needs. It is interesting to think about how Neptune and Saturn will both sextile Pluto and Aquarius. Aquarius is more about the group. Aquarius is more about the collective. So we could see those collective visions and aims really being highlighted, especially when it comes to your life's work, when it comes to your purpose here, Taurus. But you see, Aries is more of a sign of self. Aries is more about the individual. And it's more about your own personal goals, not necessarily collective aims, collective goals, your personal goals. It's about your identity. So I think that whilst you're maybe making so much happening out there in the world and you're wanting to maybe give back or you're wanting to make these changes, you're being quite innovative, just remember to keep something for yourself, I think, is what is coming through here. But as for Pluto retrograde, the Pluto retrograde will be from the 4th of May until the 13th of October. So with that being said, we could see here you reassessing where you are so far. So anything that comes up with Pluto in the 10th house, right? Things to do with members of authority where there is some kind of power struggle, or if it is that you take on more work or you take on more responsibility and you commit yourself more to a certain vocation or career path, right? And things maybe do feel a bit more intense. This could be an opportunity for you to review where you're at, to reassess, okay, how do I actually feel? What about my shadow? How can I face my shadow? What can I integrate there? How can I work with my unconscious there so it can work for me rather than against me, so to speak? Not to say that the unconscious is bad, right? It's not saying that it's a bad thing, but it's just more about how can you address your unconscious and bring it maybe to the surface, right? It's this whole thing with Pluto of bringing the truth to light, bringing what is hidden to light. Now, the pre-shadow period of Pluto is from the 10th of January 2025 until the 4th of May. So the stuff that you reassess related to your career path and your achievements, these things I feel could be a part of that time period. So there could be a situation that comes up from the 10th of January until the 4th of May, and then you can reassess that situation as the retrograde happens. Then we come to Saturn. All right, so Saturn will be entering your 12th house on the 24th of May. 24th of May. The ruler of your 9th and your 10th is very much on the move. It's coming into the 12th. Interesting to think about here, because there's something that Aries has been doing for the past couple of years, especially with Saturn transiting their 12th house, in that with Pluto in their 10th, Saturn in their 12th, a lot of Aries have been taking the time to go over, right, what is it that I actually want to accomplish for the long haul? What about successes? How do I wish to be known amongst the public? How do I wish my life to be when it comes to my career? And so for you, Taurus, we have Pluto in the 10th, right? And Saturn is still the ruler of your 10th. So Saturn is coming into this 12th house spot. And again, I think this is going to invite this honesty, authenticity about what you want for your life in terms of your vocation, your career. But we could also look at it from another angle because, well, not all of you are at that point where you're thinking about success or achievements and accomplishments. Hey, maybe there are many of you as well, and you don't really think of it that way. It's more about purpose, and you're not really interested in establishing some kind of career. You know, even with Pluto in Aquarius, there can be that outside of the box or unorthodox way of thinking anyway, or this screw the system kind of thing. But still, oh, and another thing too, I just want to say is you may not even be at a stage of your life where you're thinking about this stuff, right? Pluto in Aquarius could more so represent a time period where you are thinking about what you've already accomplished. You could be maybe a bit older, you're retired, and you've done your work. You don't want to work so hard or work as much or not work at all, you know? So you can look at it as you coming to terms with how you've been successful, what you have achieved. Or we could look at this as a transition, right? A transformation, a renewal when it comes to this ideal of success, what that actually means for you. Still, I digress with Saturn. So Saturn is so much about structure and responsibility and discipline. So Saturn is going to come along and join up with Neptune and could maybe then assist you with perhaps being quite practical about your visions or bringing form to your dreams in some way, shape, or form. This could even be about you being quite realistic with yourself about your spiritual goals or about goals related to healing or helping others, being of service to other people. So if it is that that's the path that you take, or this has been the path that you've been following over the past number of years, Taurus, where you want to make a change or you want to help, you want to give back in some way, then Saturn could act as this discipline figure, as this responsible figure, or as a figure of integrity. You can commit, you can really put in the work and put in the effort. And then the other thing about this is with both Saturn and Neptune just entering Aries, well, this is more of an opening. This is more about you dipping your toe into the next step of what could be a reality, of what could happen and unfold for you. Remember that there will be the retrogrades coming up. But you see, the other thing I want to mention is on the 19th of February 2026, so the next year, the following year, both Neptune and Saturn will form a same degree conjunction, ushering in a new 35-year cycle. So that 35-year cycle could be tied to the likes of your spirituality, your own personal healing, your own personal journey there when it comes to self-exploration, going within, thinking about drawing from your inner wisdom, what is true for you, drawing from your own authenticity, right? Your authentic path, what you want, and just taking that time to reflect upon these things and to also follow your own judgment, your own moral judgment, your own moral compass. Your intuition is going to be very strong here in this way. And again, this could be related to something creative, something artistic. Confidence could be a big part of this as well. Self-assertion, being able to assert yourself, stand up for yourself could be a big part of this too, with both Saturn and Neptune in your 12th house. And Neptune, I feel, could be the part of it where there's that compassion and there is that self-forgiveness and that creating space for empathy and kindness and love there. Could also be a very healing energy as well. But Saturn could act as more of this, well, you've got to still make sure that you do the thing, that you're doing the inner work instead of just sitting around hoping, wishing, right? With the wishful thinking with Neptune, you've got to actually do something. You've got to actually move or be patient. And so Saturn acts as this responsible figure where perhaps you can achieve and accomplish great things there. Again, I think a lot of this goes back to the self. It goes back to your relationship with divinity, with God. These things will be quite prominent with Saturn and Neptune in your 12th. So Saturn coming into the 12th could be the opening of such new beginnings, such new chapters to come. Then we move to June. So what's coming up throughout June? Well, we have quite a delightful, I think, a delightful transition of Jupiter, because Jupiter is, of course, exalted in Cancer. So Jupiter will move from Gemini into Cancer in your 3rd. So whilst we could look at this as Jupiter in Gemini for a good portion of 2025, just ushering in blessings and gifts, expansion to do with your materials, your possessions, your skills there. Well, with Jupiter then coming into the 3rd, we're going to see you expanding and growing when it comes to how you socialize, how you converse with others, how you educate yourself. And I think a part of this is it's more emotional, it's more deep, and it's more empathetic. This is about coming across as a supportive communicator. This is about how information makes you feel. This is about drawing from emotional wisdom, spiritual wisdom when it comes to teaching and sharing their mentorship. This could also be about you feeling a bit more hopeful or blessed when it comes to sibling relationships, cousin relationships. Interesting to think about with Mars being retrograde in Cancer at the beginning of the year in the 3rd, and that's a bit more tense. That's a bit more disagreeable and argumentative, I would say. So we could see maybe something a bit more delightful, something a bit more pleasing and inspirational when it comes to these immediate relationships of yours. So whereas At the beginning of the year, maybe things were a bit more argumentative or disagreeable. There was some conflict. With Jupiter then coming in, we could even see these relationships taking on a different form, or you just feeling a bit more gentle and secure and safe within them. And hey, even if this is not necessarily the case for you, because after all, Jupiter can expand whatever it touches. So Jupiter could expand the moodiness, it could expand manipulative tendencies, things like this, so to speak. So even if that is not the case for you, Jupiter in this position could also be where you have that insight. You're grown, right? It's like, I'm grown. I don't need to participate in this kind of behavior. But still, I can't help but feel as if when you work with Jupiter, okay, when you work with Jupiter and you maybe think about how you can grow emotionally, empathetically, when it comes to communicating, when it comes to educating, then this is where we're really going to see you um, feel a bit more emotionally fulfilled, right? There could be great emotional fulfillment on your part. Maybe you'll even experience greater joy, so to speak, there within such relationships. Hey, this could even be about social media. This could be about um, how you act and behave when it comes to sharing information. Again, this stuff could even be related to shared resources, joint financial planning with Sagittarius in the 8th. So, for instance, you might move. Many of you might actually move, relocate, move house there, because could be that there is an opportunity that comes up, or this could be where you do relate in more pleasing, mutually beneficial ways, especially within friendships and teams there. Yeah, I mean, you've got Pisces even in the 11th, so it could be some really beautiful friendships that form, especially with females. I'm getting this female energy, but I'm also looking at this as just supportive, nurturing energy with Jupiter in Cancer. Okay, so July, we come into July then. What does July have in store? Well, the Neptune retrograde begins from your 12th house. So the Neptune retrograde will be from the 4th of July until the 10th of December. So this portion of the retrograde, with the 4th of July, beginning from the 4th of July, just you will be going over, right, what has came up for me already here when it comes to things like self-care, rest, being restorative, how you can restore your energy there, thinking about revisiting old dreams, old visions, old goals there. So yes, just take your time to go over what has came up, because that can even assist you more so when Neptune re-enters Aries in 2026. Yes, take that time, and naturally, as time goes on, Neptune will re-enter the 11th. We'll get to that in a moment though. And also, we have another significant shift happening with Uranus, actually. So Uranus is on the move. We've got the beginning stages of Uranus in Gemini. So this will be from the 7th of July. From the 7th of July, Uranus enters Gemini, and then there will be the Uranus retrograde coming up from the from the 6th of September. But basically, for that time period, so from the 7th of July for a few months, with Uranus entering your second, my goodness, it could be very innovative when it comes to your financial world, your material world. So we think about how Jupiter has been or will be hanging out in your second house for the majority of 2025, even for a good portion of 2024. So Jupiter through the second has invited something expansive there to do with your material world and your security. This could be a new vision, something different about the bigger picture. Again, this could be related to research and your studies and learning something new, looking toward your skills there. your communication skills, especially your socializing skills, how you can piece together information very well, Taurus. But Uranus then comes along and welcomes the unexpected, shakes things up. There could be major breakthroughs that happen for you when it comes to your material world, when it comes to how you earn money, thinking about uh, your budgeting and your spending and your saving, these things. And we could also look at this as certain ideas, just these light bulb moments, right? These eureka moments, these aha moments of, oh, I can finally see how this thing I've been learning about or studying for so long, I can see how it connects in really well with this other opportunity. So just go with it when it comes to Uranus, I guess. You have to remember the unpredictable is going to happen. And yes, I know that for you, Taurus, you're a sign of consistency and stability. But I guess the thing is that nothing in life is permanent, and things do change. So embrace the change, embrace the disruptions, the changes of Uranus and Gemini. So what I mean by this is embracing the changes of the material world, the financial world for you, your security, and even look at that in terms of Pluto in the 10th. So this could be some new job opportunity, career opportunity. It could be a promotion. It could be, yes, maybe the loss of a job. But then you can be thrown into this other world and a different opportunity could come up. Or it could be where you're very idealistic, you come up with new ideas, you can be inventive. My goodness, this can be a really good opportunity here, Taurus, for you to be very inventive about how you earn money. Then we see Saturn turns retrograde from the 12th house, from the 13th of July. So the Saturn retrograde will be a good way for you to go over the plan, to go over what you're trying to assess within yourself, to do with self-exploration, to do with motivations and your drive and your willpower and your strength and all the rest of it. Saturn retrograde goes, right, okay, you've done a little bit of work here, you've maybe gotten a feel for a sense for greater commitment and success and what you want to do there for the long haul. Let's go back and just take a closer look. Let's just go over those past situations, old methods, old habits. Could be a good opportunity for you to actually get clear about what you want in some respects there, Taurus, with the retrograde. Then we come to this other retrograde in your 4th house from the 18th of July until the 11th of August. So Mercury retrograde in your 4th, this will unfold. That retrograde could be a good opportunity for you to reassess and review, to reevaluate matters when it comes to your family. Okay, it could be old conversations from the past, right? It could be discussions that you had with family members and you revisit that conversation, and then you can even gain greater clarity there. It could even be some news that gets to you, gets back to you, an old piece of news that is revisited. It could be a conversation about your children. It could be a conversation even about the ways in which you want to change things at home, thinking about being creative, being quite artistic there. Perhaps this is even about reassessing, reviewing a move. If you want to relocate, if you want to make a change there to your living situation, to your home, again, it could be just an old discussion. Naturally, there will be more detailed discussions and conversations about the Mercury retrograde closer to the time, but it's just to let you know a part of the story, just a part of your 2025 story. And then August, right? Well, what we have is Mercury turning direct. So with Mercury turning direct, then it's like greater clarity. Okay, perhaps you want to just take your time to mull things over because the post-shadow period will be up until the 25th of August. So from the 11th of August until the 25th, just maybe take your time to go over a little bit. Okay, well, what came up? What did I revisit? Am I sure about that? Do I really want that? Does that relate to me? So there could be little tweaks and little changes that you can make then during that time period. Again, such matters will be related to your home and your family lives, Taurus. Coming into September, then, September, we have a couple of more retrogrades happening. So we have Saturn retrograde entering Pisces on the 1st of September. So basically, this part of the retrograde will be a good opportunity for you to go back into the structures and the foundations that you've been building with respect to friendships, teams, communities, group participations, even thinking about your hopes and wishes for the future there, what you want to build for the long haul there, their discipline, responsibility, self-respect, integrity, all of these things tied to Saturn. So you can go back in, take a closer look. Maybe there are things you didn't quite notice before, and you can see those, you can acknowledge those and take them on board. And then maybe you'll feel a bit more equipped or prepared moving forward as Saturn will turn direct at some point, which we will get to. And we also have Uranus going retrograde. So Uranus retrograde in Gemini from the 6th of September up until 2026. Yes, it will re-enter your first house, but with the part of Uranus being retrograde in Gemini, sure, with Uranus being in Gemini for those couple of weeks there, those number of weeks, we could look at this as you getting a sense for, getting a feel for, right, okay, so these are the unexpected shifts, or things may really change here when it comes to my material world. Okay, so the Uranus retrograde could be a good opportunity for you to go over these areas and to perhaps reconsider a few matters. You can maybe even look at this as, okay, well, what connections am I seeing? How might the epiphanies and the realizations that came up for me whilst Uranus was in Gemini, how might they be looked at in a different way? Could be just seeing things from a different point of view, seeing things from a different angle. Then we also have more eclipses. So on the 7th of September, the lunar eclipse happens in your 11th house. And then on the 21st of September, the solar eclipse in Virgo in the 5th. So with this, the lunar eclipse in Pisces on the 7th of September, that will bring clarity to that of, what do we see? All the friendship stuff, all the group participation stuff. You'll come to this point of, oh, okay, right. I can see that there are these changes happening in my life when it comes to my friendships. Or, oh, I can see that from me doing a lot of inner work with, of course, Saturn being in the 11th, and you looking at the very substance, the value, the quality of your friendships and your relationships there, even thinking about networks and those group participations. So by doing that inner work, you can maybe come to a place of completion, or you can close chapters, or you can see what no longer serves you. You can let go a little bit there, or you can just welcome some sort of change. There, of course, with the nodes being in your 11th and 5th houses, we are going to see notable changes and new chapters to do with the kinds of people you surround yourself with, Taurus. Thinking about how you align with other people's morals or values, thinking about even the more of the emotional connections that you feel, how safe you feel, even, right? How safe and secure you feel within those teams and those groups. Perhaps too, this could be some kind of creative project, an artistic project, something related to film or photography. This could be a spiritual group, or this could be about you wanting to give to a cause or some charity, or you want to help others, help the world there. So yes, there could be maybe a significant release or shedding, possibly reaping rewards when it comes to these things. Then with the solar eclipse in Virgo, this will be about you planting new seeds, significant new seeds actually, to do with art, creativity, romance, love. And you can come from a place of, okay, this is how I wish to be more efficient here, or I can make improvements and tweaks here. But again, it's just being mindful not to be obsessive or panicky or to get caught up in details that actually don't really matter. And so you can basically address or welcome a new chapter, a notable change when it comes to these romantic and creativity areas of your life. And yeah, you can come from a place of practicality, being quite practical, and even as well being mindful of your health, your body. There could be a lot here to do with your physical body, your health, and how you can be a bit more holistic in your approach there too. October. So we have October, and we've got Pluto turning direct on the 13th of October. So you can, of course, start to see greater movement there. So thinking about the post shadow period from the 13th of October until the 4th of February, again, as I've been trying to say, with post shadow periods, there could be some things that come up during that time, and it's like, oh, okay, interesting, noted. So just a good time to mull things over, and that's something I'm going to continue to repeat here with post shadow periods: is mull things over. Again, think about this within the context of career, success, what you've achieved so far, even legacy with Pluto, right? There could be something about legacy and how that even comes up within communities and teams. Then we have here Neptune retrograde entering Pisces from the 22nd of October. So this part of the retrograde, okay, time to go back in and to assess how you might be idealistic when it comes to certain causes or movements. It's interesting to think that, a lot of this stuff is happening within a public setting with the 11th and the 10th houses. There's a lot about ambition and achievement and accomplishment, and thinking about the way you show up within the collective and the message that is conveyed there, the message that is shared with the world, thinking about your social media, your brand, your reputation, your credibility. All of these things are going to be really very much highlighted here. So again, with Neptune retrograde entering Pisces, it's just another opportunity for you to go back in to maybe look at, okay, what am I maybe not seeing clearly here? You'll have the support of Saturn there too, again. So what am I not seeing clearly? Maybe you can even ask for some kind of clarity or advice, perhaps from people you trust, people you love. And you can be a bit more real with yourself or honest with yourself about anything that's quite deceptive, or if you're maybe caught up in a lie or something that's a fabrication, then you can maybe get a hold on that a bit better, and you can address it, right? You can look at it and see it for what it is, and maybe that can even support you moving forward. Again, I think that stuff is related to more of the grip. It could even be about a future vision of yours, right? A future goal, a future hope that you have, something that you really want to happen. So, yeah, with that being said, there could be a sense of surrender or letting go, or being able to go, hey, you know what? It is what it is. I I don't feel the need to attach to that. I want to give up some kind of attachment to whatever that dream is. Indeed, perhaps a part of Neptune is saying to let go of the outcomes, to let go of some kind of expectation there. Now, November. With November, we have Uranus retrograde then entering your first. So this is another opportunity for you to go back in and to think about, right, how have my aims and my goals, how has my life path really changed in unexpected ways over these number of years since 2018? So you can just go back in and have another rethink. I think with retrogrades, it's always a good opportunity to look at it as you have another opportunity to think things over. And that can be good. You can just take a moment to consider where you're at along your journey, what has changed, how have you grown, what are you thankful for, but also how might you wish for things to unfold differently moving forward. So you could look at this as a bit of an experimental stage. And the retrograde, as I say, will be from the 6th of September until 2026, and Uranus will enter Taurus on the 7th of November. Okay, so that will be from the 7th of November for you, Taurus. Then we come to yet another retrograde from the 9th of November until the 29th of November, starting off in Sagittarius. So this part of the retrograde, which will be, so Mercury retrograde will be in Sagittarius from the 9th of November until the 18th of November. That period, just take it as a time to maybe revisit some documents, information, important information, maybe about joint financial planning. It's interesting to think about because, I've talked about with Jupiter even being in your second house for a period of time, especially more at the beginning of the year, and how that has been perhaps a good way for you to have significant conversations and discussions about shared resources, about joint financial planning. Mercury then coming into Sagittarius here, which honestly, it'll be the second Mercury retrograde of Sagittarius, because Mercury will be retrograde in Sagittarius come toward the end of 2024, actually. But anyway, with this being said, it will be a good opportunity for you to go over those plans. Go over what your aspirations are with your significant other, how you wish for things to change in this regard for your futures. Could even be a case of you revisiting some debts or things that need to be paid off, loans. Maybe if you want to get a loan, you may reconsider that, or you may revisit a certain debt from the past that is maybe hanging over your head. Again, I just think that it's still important to consider Mercury retrograde that's already going to happen in 2024. So think about what might come up there within these areas. We'll perhaps talk more about that actually when we go through Sagittarius season. Then when we move into Mercury retrograde in your 7th house, so that will be from the 18th of November until the 29th of November. This section of the retrograde will be about going into and re-exploring the depths of intimacy. So intimate communication, vulnerable communication, how you might open up or how you might be closed when it comes to your significant other, relationships. But this could also be about revisiting old customer or client relationships and something communicative being a part of that, such as an old document getting to you. It could be an agreement that you signed and having to address that. And it could also be about just partnership and teamwork and collaboration there overall. But maybe there's an element of it where there's something about repaying debt involved, or it could be about a hidden truth, something hidden, hidden information that you didn't see before, and then that being brought to light. And hey, that can actually be of beneficial use to you. You could look at this as, oh, I didn't notice this before, and then you can maybe take it on board. Naturally, we do want to think about what the astrology will be like during the Mercury retrograde, but this is a bit of an overview of just what's to come up throughout the year ahead for you, Taurus. So Jupiter will also turn retrograde from the 11th of November up. So this retrograde is a good way for you to go over how you will have grown by that point. Growing when it comes to those family relationships, when it comes to how you educate empathetically, supportively, how you share information, how you share your knowledge in this receptive, sensitive way. Indeed, you will have an opportunity to just go over where you're at, anything you want to change, any opportunities that were presented to you. Maybe old opportunities come up, they arise. But overall, with the Jupiter retrograde, a big part of it is about your own personal growth and how things have changed for you so far throughout your journey, with Jupiter being in your third house. Then we come to Saturn turning direct. Okay, so Saturn turns direct on the 27th of November. Therefore, Taurus, it will be a good opportunity for you to move forward with certain responsibilities that you revisited, that you took a closer look at with respect to those grip involvements of yours, right? And when it comes to more of those social activities and collective aims, collective goals, even thinking about other people's gains or gains through others there. So, yeah, perhaps with Saturn retrograde, it will be of a beneficial thing to just reassess, okay, emotionally, how much of myself can I give here? Or what about my boundaries? How have I been setting healthy boundaries when it comes to these areas? And so you can move forward once more with some more clarity and maybe with a greater sense of responsibility and dedication on your part, and discipline, patience, all the rest of it. Emotional maturity and emotional understanding will be a big part of this too for you. So yeah, you can move forward and bring those lessons, right? Carry those lessons forward with you as Saturn re-enters Aries again, where it will begin its full term transit. And as we come to the end of the year, December, well, Neptune is doing the same thing. Neptune is turning direct on the 10th of December. And so this is pretty much just you again gaining greater clarity, moving forward with more of an emotional awareness, an emotional understanding with relation to how much you may give of yourself within groups, or even thinking about how things are received, or how you can even look at this as, my goodness, how much you will have grown and how much you are continuing to grow, when it comes to how you show up within social situations, how much you can be very empathetic and compassionate toward others, how giving you can be, how loving you can be as well. And perhaps it's even about the kinds of people that you've attracted, the kinds of people that you've welcomed into your life, who has been there for you through thick and thin, that kind of thing, who has been there for you whenever perhaps you have needed people the most, right? So there could be a lot of this stuff going on for you, and naturally a part of it too is about your own limits in some way, shape, or form. And hopefully with Saturn being a part of this, right, because both Saturn and Neptune will be so close together in Pisces and coming into Aries. So with that being said, you'll also be supported physically, and we can look at this as being held, feeling like you're more so being held in a structured way. But hey, Neptune also dissolves, so there could be some kind of lucid, fluid aspect to this too. Something that is a bit more idealistic and dreamy and quite enchanting as well. So indeed, both planets will be on the move again, and so you may be able to take whatever lessons came up for you whilst they were retrograde, and carry them forward, carry them forward along your spiritual path as you deepen your connection with God or with the divine, or thinking about you working with the collective unconscious, thinking about your dreams, all of the artistic stuff, again, the creative stuff. My goodness, your creative visions could be wild, absolutely wild. And you may have the energy, then the ability to bring those visions to life in some capacity, I think, with Saturn also being involved. Yes, Taurus. So this has been you, Taurus. Thank you for listening. If you would like to book a reading with me, you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. And if you really did enjoy your overview of 2025, there is an option to buy me a coffee, but there is never any pressure to do anything. It's really up to you, and just to let you know what I provide. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, make sure to give this video a like. Let me know what you thought. And again, we will talk more about these energies in greater detail, I'm sure, closer to the time as the year progresses. I wish you all the best, Taurus. A lot of 12th house activity happening for you throughout the year. Indeed, I wish you all the best along your spiritual path. And I will talk to you in the next video. Bye.